Hi, I'm Milton, and we're going to re-record our lesson on the second chapter of the Mingling of Souls attraction. We start off this chapter by looking into how attraction starts from how it begins from a very, very young age. At the beginning, like around the age of 2, boys and girls really don't notice the difference between each other. They do everything pretty much together. It's not until pre-K, kindergarten, that boys start hanging out with the boys and the girls start hanging out with girls. Not because they just decided, it's just that boys tend to have this natural inclination to destruction and throwing things away and cars and stuff like this and shoving each other, and girls just can't find that acceptable, and they decided to separate. It's not in the first, signs of flirtation is actually disguised by this dislike, like around the age of, fourth grade, where, ew, boys are gross, and I can't, no, I'm gonna start hanging out with my girls more, and this, and boys likewise, like, oh, girls have cooties and this and stuff, and they start distinguishing that there is a real big difference, and then they separate. We have, like around the fifth grade to ninth grade, we have some sort of epiphany where things start to change, and they might, boys, at that age, going through puberty and everything, that they start, wearing deodorant, showering, and making sure that they look good for this certain person when there's this certain girl around. Or likewise for girls, there's a certain guy and they like, and then they want to look, decent and presentable. We sum that up as like a attraction at that point, where the book defines attraction as, using the definition by Psychology Dictionary, it defines it as attraction is the natural feeling of being drawn to individuals or desiring their company. This is usually, but not necessarily, due to the fact that you have a personal liking towards them. And it's kind of vague, but so, again, attraction is kind of vague as well. We have what is, in the society or natural day, this like certain picture of what attraction is. If you ask the natural or typical person today, what do you find attractive about this person, they would most likely start stating physically appealing things, and has to do with both men and women. We'll start stating things like, oh, I like the height, or this, or the hair, or the eyes, this physically. And this is actually backed up in the Bible, where in Songs of Solomon, we see in the very beginning that there is this woman that saw Solomon, and she states that she wants him to kiss her, and that she's really, really glad when she sees him. So in that case, Solomon's really good to look at and is handsome, and this is perfectly okay. This is actually what God intended, and this is God's plan. It's part of God's plan. Now, being physically attracted to somebody is part of attraction, but it's not what God intended to be completely an attraction. So, attraction is part of God's plan. Now, nearly everybody will find someone who's attracted by their beauty, and our beauty is certainly all different. They may vary in depending on where you are and who you are, but generally, they're very common and narrowed down into like a certain type or interest. Beauty is a particular combination of qualities that we find appealing to our eyes. Now, for men, it might be the shape of a woman, or the hair, or the eyes, the clothes, and for women, It'll be the physique of the man, or burly, toned, the height, the eyes, the hair, and as you notice, I'm stating all of these things that we find attractive, but like by how beautiful or the qualities of beauty. Beauty and attraction can be vain, very superficial, uh, and what I'm and that's not what God fully intended it. God didn't fully intend you to just to go off by looks, and just by saying that, there's going to be people who, okay, well, Milton said, uh, Milton said that I can't go by the looks, and so I have to marry somebody who's unattractive. No, you want to, if you want to find someone that you find attractive and are pleasing, but you can't go with what's on the surface, because true beauty, as we all know, is constantly evolving and constantly changing. Back then, it was big women who were able to eat because they were wealthy, or big men because they were wealthy and they could eat, and scrawny, less thinner people were considered lower class and stuff like that. Well, and it changes, it's constantly changing, where the way you dress or what you eat and this and that is always constantly changing, and we can't base ourselves on that. So the real you is inside of you. Physical attraction shouldn't be the substitute for knowing somebody. This is why relationships that are based purely on physical appeal don't last long, because the looks don't last long. Abraham Lincoln once said that the character is like a tree, and reputation is like a shadow. So the first the shadow is what we think of it, and the tree is the real thing. So I've heard those sayings that say that the reputation precedes them, or things like that they're known for those things. Now, if a person is known for jumping from relationship to relationship, then they might not be the most characterly or appealing character-wise, and that's what we want to base ourselves on. Not only in their physical attraction or appeal, but by their character. Now, what are some things that we want to look into the character? Are commitment, if they're committed to something, submission towards people. These are important characteristics that you want to look into when you're being attracted to somebody. Now, first one is commitment. Now, what are we talking about when we talk about commitment? Commitment could be shown as, well, okay, so for example, there's this person, right? And if you can see in their life, and they're known for not being committed to things, not committed to their schoolwork, or not committed to their hobbies, or not committed to their work, not committed to their family, then more likely than not is that they're not going to be very committed to you, not going to be committed to your time, not committed to you, and might go do something else. That's why, when we want to look into characteristics, we want commitment to be in one of those. Submission is another one. If they're not submissive to authority, not submissive to their parents, not submissive to God, then they're most likely not going to be submissive to you. And you don't want to be already stuck in a relationship with somebody when you find out that they are not submissive and they're not committed to you. Now, how do I find out their characteristics? Because when I first met this person, they seemed like they had everything in control, and they were all good, no red flags. And then I got in a relationship with this person, and all of a sudden, all these red flags are coming up. So, a good way to find out how their test their character, or know what their real, the real them inside, is through suffering. And when I first read that in the book, I found it very interesting. I was like, okay, so it starts saying things like, everybody is pleasant at face value when everything's normal, they have everything control. Everybody's pleasant. Everybody looks pretty decent. It's not until they start suffering and they start having to deal with uh, controversies and tribulations in their life, that's when they start showing their true colors and things start showing up that you won't normally see at face value. How would your significant other, your partner, deal with betrayal or drama in the family? Uh, you know, these things will really test their character, and that's when you see the true colors. Okay, so we know that we have to, that through suffering they can see their colors, right? Now, how do we get to that point? Do I have to start dating this person or till so I can find out, okay, I started dating this person and now I know that these are all bad things after the whole suffering? No, that's what we emphasize a lot about friendships, because you don't have to be in a relationship with them to be able to see them suffer. Friendships are really, really good entryways into, maybe relationship, like, a more intimate relationship. When you're friends, what do you see? You cry together, you laugh together, you have all these moments together. You see them suffer, you see them in their highs, you see them in the lows, and you start to really know their character. That's why we emphasize that you begin all these relationships as friends, because you get to see their true colors before you actually start in getting into the dating and more further levels of relationships. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for our chapter 2 of character, the attraction, chapter 2 of the Mingling Souls. I'm not much of a big reader, but I can tell you for sure that this book is one that you have to get into. I would highly recommend you check it out. It's like $10 on Amazon. Please take care, and God bless.